Top of page 233, put your finger where it says what. What did you tell him? Mama asked. Just that the note's been called. He said he'd get the money. How? He didn't say and I didn't ask, just said he'd get it. And Mr. Higgins at the bank, David, said Big Ma. What'd he have to say? Said our credit's no good anymore. We aren't even hurting the Wallaces now, Mama said with acid anger. Harlan Granger's got no need. Baby, you know he's got a need, Papa said, pulling her to him. He's got a need to show us where we stand in the scheme of things. He's got a powerful need to do that. Besides, he still wants this place. But son, that mortgage give us 4 more years. Papa laughed dryly. Mama, you want me to take it to the court? Big Ma sighed and placed her hand on Papa's. What if Hammer can't get the money? Papa did not look at her, but at Mr. Morrison instead. Don't worry, Mama. We ain't gonna lose the land. Trust me. On the 3rd Sunday of August, the annual revival began. Rivals were always very serious, yet gay and long-planned for affairs which brought pots and pans from out of the way, shelves, mothball-packed dresses, and creased pants from hidden chests, and all the people from the community, top of 234, and the neighboring communities up the winding red school road to Great Faith Church. The revival ran for 7 days, and it was an occasion everyone looked forward to, for it was more than just church services. It was the year's only planned social event, disrupting the humdrum of everyday country life. Teenagers courted openly, adults met with relatives and friends they had not seen since the previous year's big meeting, and children ran almost free. As far as I was concerned, the best part of the revival was the very first day. After the first of 3 services was dismissed, the mass of humanity which had squished its way into the sweltering interior of the small church poured into the school grounds, and the women proudly set out their dinners in the backs of wagons and on the long tables circling the church. Then it was a feast to remember. Brimming bowls of turnip greens and black-eyed peas with ham hocks, thick slices of last winter's sugar-cured ham, and strips of broiled ribs, crispy fried chicken, and morsels of golden squirrel and rabbit, flaky buttermilk biscuits and crusty cornbread, fat slabs of sweet potato pie and butter pound cakes, and so much more were all for the taking. No matter how long the pantry supplies, each family always managed to contribute something, and as the churchgoers made the rounds from table to table, hard times were forgotten, at least for the day. The boys and I had just loaded our plates for the first time and taken seats under an old walnut when Stacy put down his plate and stood up again. What's the matter? I asked, stuffing my mouth with cornbread. Stacy frowned into the sun. That man walking up the road. I took a moment to look up, then pick up my drumstick. So? He looks like Uncle Hammer, he cried and dashed away. I hesitated watching him, reluctant to leave my plate unless it really was Uncle Hammer. When Stacy reached the man and hugged him, I put the plate down and ran across the lawn to the road. Christopher John, with his plate still in hand, and Little Man ran after me. Uncle Hammer, where's your car? Little Man asked after we all had hugged him. Sold it, he said. Sold it, we cried in unison. But why? Asked Stacy. Needed the money, Uncle Hammer said flatly. As we neared the church, Papa met us and embraced Uncle Hammer. I wasn't expecting you to come all the way down here. You expected me to send that much money by mail? Could have wired it. Don't trust that either. How'd you get it? Borrowed some of it, sold a few things, he said with a shrug. Then he nodded toward Papa's leg. How'd you do that? Top of 236. Papa's eyes met Uncle Hammer's, and he smiled faintly. I was sort of hoping you wouldn't ask that. Uh-huh. Papa, I said, Uncle Hammer sold the Packard. Papa's smile faded. It didn't mean for that to happen, Hammer. Uncle Hammer put his arm around Papa. What good's a car? It can't grow cotton. You can't build a home on it, and you can't raise 4 fine babies in it. Papa nodded, understanding. Now you going to tell me about that leg? Papa stared at the milling throng of people around the dinner tables. Let's get you something to eat first, he said. Then I'll tell you. Maybe it'll set better with some of this good food in your stomach. Right now, turn in your packet, flip the page to questions 1 and 2.